Welcome, everybody, to Tea Time Thursday. It'll just be a second, and Eric will join us. We're excited to be with you today. We're excited to dig a little deeper into Scripture. Here they come. And Pastor Ryan. That's exciting.
We made it.
Did we miss it?
No, I think we made it.
Hi, everybody.
You made it.
Oh. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome Tea Time Thursday, right?
I said that.
You did?
I
Oh, man.
did.
What have you gone over already?
What
Just
have you,
saying
have
hi
you
to
covered
them.
the bases?
I have not. I said we were excited to be with them, to talk,
Good,
dig
good.
a little deeper on Thursday. We're excited to be here with them. That's about all I
Oh.
said. And then I said, "Oh, here they come."
So you don't really need us then. Okay.
All right, bye.
Come back. Come back. I can do the opening. Got it.
Thank you for joining with us. I look forward to this time in the middle of week to pause, take a breath, and to seek the Lord, to seek the Lord together as we. As we realize that God has us, God has got a movement. God doesn't just want a bunch of, you doing okay over there? God doesn't call us to be part of the family and just sit there, but God has us on this track where God is doing a work in us as individuals and as a church. And so I love we've got this time in the middle of the week for just this little pause and to kind of feel that movement together, to feel that progress in our process. So we're glad you're with us. We'd love to hear what is happening with you. If there is something in particular, if you just bought a new pet and you're bringing home your new gerbil named Jerry, we'd love to hear about that. Maybe
It's very specific.
Well, I mean, just
Did you guys buy a gerbil this week?
No. We do not have any new rodents in the whole house. Although
We know the next gift.
The
Oh my
next
gosh,
gift, yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Jerry's coming to
I want to
Jerry's
keep
coming.
Jessamine on my good side, so I will not be buying that gift.
I'll just leave it on the doorstep and say, from Alicia.
From Alicia.
She knows better.
So negotiations are open, and we'd love to have your opinion on the next parsonage pet. But maybe before we talk about that, we're in this series Geared Up for Life, and it's this whole idea of what I was just saying before, that God has us in this process and is equipping us to live as people of the resurrection, to live holy lives, and really essentially to do that together. Right. And so the text for this morning, for this Sunday morning, the title is A Life Worthy. Which I've always found to be a fascinating concept with Christians because, the more I grow, the more I realize that on my own, I'm just not worthy. Mm-hmm. I don't have what it takes. I don't have the commitment or the energy or the insight, whatever. I'm totally relying on God for that. And yet there's all these scriptures that are lifting up this promise that, well, no, you're worthy. You are, and you can approach the throne. Colossians talks about, blameless and unafraid. You can approach the throne of God. And so here, the whole passage for Sunday is a long instruction of how to live this life. And it starts out with this introduction where Paul says, live a life worthy of this call. And then the very first thing he says when he gets to the list is, be completely humble, be patient, bearing with one another in love. I'm just fascinated at that's the starting point, right? Of all the things that he could have said, start here. Start here, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love. So I'm really interested in that. I'd love to hear from y'all, from you guys. Why is that a great place to start? Would you start the list in the same place, or would you pick something else? And I feel like this is such a word for today, with just the heat, literally as well as figuratively, keeps getting turned up on us. We got the news from the CDC this week, and people are having to wrestle with that. That's just going to stir the pot, right? So this is definitely a word for us. So how do y'all feel? How does it hit you? Why is this a great place to start? And would you start in the same place?
So for me, starting with being humble. I feel like I'm constantly like reminding my kids, like, be humble, be humble, be humble.
Because your kids are so great.
Yeah, but they're amazing. But I think that's important to, even when you, like for Maddie, right? Even when you win a soccer game, you've been on the other side.
And she works really hard at soccer. She's
Right.
dedicated, right?
But you've been on the other side where you haven't won the game, so maybe not like rub it in the other team's face. Be humble. Walk up to them and say "good game," or comment on a good play that they did. I feel like I'm constantly like reminding my kids that's important to stay humble.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So humble is where I would start too.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Well, I'm thinking about it. I'm putting myself, in a game and thinking about, this is what I'm thinking. Being humble when you win, but also like being humble when you lose. It's, what's that like too?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of it is, it's one thing to be humble when you're on top. But what does it look like to be humble when you're beat down too?
Well, same thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Still go up to them, tell them good game, like, and I think that you don't find that in a lot of people don't just do that, and so she's like, well, I don't want to be the only one doing that. I'm like, what? So you're different. Go be humble. Like, love your friends, even though they just demolished you.
Wipe your tears.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's important. Humble is a big thing, I think. For me, at least.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we're saying. Like, this is where he starts. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch. We don't necessarily know that for Paul this is the most important, but it's where he starts, which means something. It's a great starting place. I'm trying to think of what humble looks like just in general practice. Like yesterday, we're getting ices and notice that the lady behind us is waiting because, girls are 10. We're still working out a few issues when it comes to ices. I had a little bit of a mess, needed to get some napkins, couldn't find the lid, issues. And she was so nice about it. And following in that, be humble, gentle, patient. She was these three things, at least in that moment. I don't know this lady. I don't know anything about her. But, man, we had a good time at the icy machine because she was so cool, right? I didn't feel the pressure like, oh, my gosh, I got to get my kid to change her behavior and all this. Like, we dealt with it. She was super friendly. It was nice. It was really nice. How do we keep doing that? How do we keep instilling that in our kids? And what does that, what does that look like? This morning I had a hard morning. My car wouldn't start, and I'm immediately at this impatient place, like frustrated and trying not to take that out on my kids. And I did a little bit, like I'm just it just bothers me. So how do we cultivate being humble, being patient, being gentle? Really interested in that. Maybe because I had such a crummy morning.
And loving one another, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting this morning. Melody's getting older and older each day, and the conversation's shifting each day, and it's hilarious. She never wants to move out of the house. She doesn't want a boyfriend or get married because she doesn't want to leave Karen or me. Like, she's 4.5. I I mean,
I remember those
these
stages.
These are real things right now, right?
I miss those
these
days.
are pressing issues.
She's got a lot to sort out, doesn't she?
And then, oh yeah, there's so many, like, we're saving for, counseling, not really college. No, I'm joking. But this morning, the conversation was interesting because she watched the Disney movie Raya. And I don't know if you've seen it or if you guys have seen it or not, but when I watched it with her, I'm watching to make sure, okay, the content, all this stuff. And my mind immediately, when I watched it, went to good versus evil, she has names for the whole thing, like the drome, the evil, wind spirit thing that was, and then Rhea and the dragon are trying to save the day. So I immediately went to good versus evil. And it was interesting what she said to me this morning. She said to me, Dad, do you know how the drome was defeated? And I said to her, I'm like, well, I said the crystal came back together, whatever the ball is, they put it back together and then boom. And she said, no. She goes, Rhea, it was around trust. They had to trust each other. And it wasn't a and it just clicked for me because it's not a classic, like good versus evil, I did something or some magic thing took place. It started at the heart of the people, which then in turn asked the question, the drome, which is like the evil force, why were they coming after people? Was it because of the wickedness in the hearts? Was it the mean-spirited because they were in tension? They call it, when they all come together, it was like this utopia or Kumandra is what they called it, right? So is it the forces that were against that, the lack of unity that the Spirit was picking up on and fed on? But the way she said it, I was just like, oh, you know what? The magic was in them the whole time, having to trust each other, having to come together as one and in unity. And that's when the, whatever you call that thing, the gem or whatever, came back to life and destroyed brought wholeness, brought healing to the whole thing. And I thought that was interesting because it was Melody's perspective on it, and I totally missed it.
Yeah.
And, and it makes me think about Paul's words because it starts with being grounded and rooted in love of Christ. But where's that launching point? Like, we can own that, we can receive that, but where's the launching point? And it's trusting others, it's loving others, it's being humble and patient and gentle, I think is what he used there. That's an action on us. It's not an attack against some force. It's not. That starts in us, and I think that's a great launching point.
I mean, I really do. I really do too. And I love how you brought in Melody's insight of, the way to defeat evil is not, the mechanism, the specialized weapon or the plan or, those things that, are usually part of those more like action movies, but something deeply interior in the hearts of people. And in that movie, it's an interior that shifted, that changed. Yep. And so everywhere we go, we're bringing our interior lives with us, and that's part of it. That's part of why, my kids had nothing to do with my car this morning, but I was a little snappy with them because that's where my heart was. I'm bothered by this problem I've got to solve, and I don't know how to solve it yet, and so there's something about, your call back to last week's sermon that you preached about being rooted and grounded in love, God's power in us, that makes that change so that the interior lives we're bringing with us are lives that are less and less marked by this is the pain or this is the need or this is the desperate hope, but more and more marked by this is the love that has stabilized me and has properly oriented me towards Christ so that I can be humble and patient and gentle, even if I'm frustrated that I can't get to the ICs yet, right? Or whatever. I had this, and it might show up on Sunday. I had this revelation yesterday. Like, I was having this conversation with this person who, she was sad at the disunity in the world, and specifically in the world that calls itself Christian. And I mean, she was crying over the phone as we're talking about it because it's something that was deeply personal to her and in her family. And I had this idea of, when you're sitting at the beach, and everything okay? I know you got a lot going on.
Sorry.
Like when you're sitting at the beach, you have a choice to let the beach, overwhelm you and move you into look how beautiful this is, look how great this all is to be together, or you can choose to focus on the little irritating things, and that's always it. Like there's always the question, will we focus on what is really the biggest thing in the room, right? Or are we going to let our focus be on these other things that maybe are important, but they're not the biggest thing in the room?
Yeah.
And how do we do that? so that we've got this humble, gentle, patient spirit.
Yeah, and Bonnie just commented on here a little bit ago. It's hard when you have to not do something you love to do, that's important to do, because something in life comes up that keeps you from it. Accepting when you cannot, must not, out of the greater love for those around you. So it's putting it on others focus there.
Yeah. Part of what I hear in what Bonnie wrote too is there's a humility in a gentleness and a patience with our own limitations.
Yeah.
Which I think is a gift. We live in a culture that, hey, no, push past.
Yep,
The Olympics are going on right
Yep.
now. Simone Biles has got a lot of attention for her withdrawing for her own need, her own, all of that, which, we've heard bits and pieces, but we're not involved in her interior life to know exactly what's going on there.
Right.
But I think part of why it's so big in the news is it's such a contrast to what we're used to, where these gymnasts just push past whatever it is to get that gold.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And there's something that's inspiring and cool and noble about that, but there's maybe even something more inspiring about, no, this is where I've just got to draw the line. And this is as big as I get.
Yeah.
And that's good. And there's a humility in embracing our limits. And I think part of that is because then that moves us to ask for help.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting how there's been different responses to that.
Yeah.
And I think we all have to be aware of, not everyone's going to respond to humility and gentleness, and they may push you to be more aggressive or more out there, keep going, persevere kind of thing. It wasn't that long ago that the U.S. gymnastic, I forget her name, but scored a 10 with a broken ankle.
Carrie Strug.
Carrie, right? Yeah. I mean, those are the stories where you're like, keep going,
Whoa,
you can do
USA.
it. What do you do with someone who personally met the capacity of which enough was enough?
Right.
How do you respond to that? And you're getting mixed responses. There's people who feel like good for, same along the lines of what you shared, but there's others who are attacking her for it and saying, a real American wouldn't do it, whatever. I'm not making fun of people who have that opinion. I'm just saying, we all have different responses to actions or to decisions that we make. And so, humility, gentleness, patience, all those things, people may not understand why you're doing those things or starting at that platform of what Paul's getting at here. People aren't going to fully understand all your choices or all your decisions. Just know in your heart and trust that God's love and power is in you and through you, and that this is a great place for you, a good place to launch from, right? Like a good place that you can grow in whatever it is.
Yeah.
And not everyone's going to agree with you.
Right.
With what that may be.
Right.
It may be stepping away from something.
Yeah.
Be okay with that. The Holy Spirit may be guiding you in that. Or asking for help. Yeah.
That's a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like to ask for help. But the last couple of days, I've needed extra help or whatever.
Yeah.
Just with prayer for strength and stuff like that. And so I was driving home, was it yesterday? Driving to my parents' house yesterday, and all I kept hearing was, it's funny that you said humble, but all I kept hearing was me tell my kids to be humble. Tell your kids to be humble, but you're not asking. You're not being humble because you're not asking for help when you need it. And I have a friend that has been going through whatever I've been going through with me, and I reached out to her and was like, I just need prayers for strength and to get through the next couple days or whatever. And it was like a peace came upon me because I was like, all right, I am not good at asking for help, but did. And so for me, it was like, okay, well, and you're showing your kids that even in hard times or good or bad times, you can be humble and push through and ask for help, and that's okay. And so it was good. It's funny you talk about that. I read it this morning when you sent it, and I was like, oh, really? Being humble?
That's
But
interesting. Yeah.
it was nice.
So, yeah.
You know, and it gets us off. I keep thinking about this whole question of focus, you know, and how, you know, something about being humble. I guess you've already said it, Eric. It shifts the focus away from the self, and orients us, keeps us oriented towards others. You know, not in a way that's destructive to the self, but I guess in a way that's trusting that, you know, God has me.
Right.
You know, and part of how God has me, maybe this is part of what God was sharing with you yesterday. Part of how God has you is inspiring you to ask that friend to join you in prayer, you know, to remind you that you don't have to walk these roads on your own. You know, like maybe that's part of what happened yesterday. You know, and I don't know that this is true. I love etymology. I mean, don't we all, right? Love etymology. And
Yeah, we love it.
yeah.
I'll try to put a definition in the comment section for those that are with me.
Big fans, right? Go ahead and hit the like button, y'all.
How do you spell that?
Not
E-D.
entomology, though we love that also. I'm not talking about the study of insects. Etymology, it has to do with word origins and like the bits and pieces of words that come together to give them their meaning, and how did that happen? So I'm curious.
There's the definition.
I'm curious about the word humble and how closely it's connected to the word human. And I'm wondering if there's a link there. You know, and I'm wondering if part of, because we're wired, we're designed to be a social species. You know, we're like ants with less legs.
You totally spelled that wrong.
And you know, and is there something? Is there some little clue encoded in this word that might suggest, you know, when we're really at our best as people, is when we're humble together, when we're oriented towards each other and towards God, who's bigger than all of us. So yeah, feel free to look that up. Etymology, etymology. See if humble and human are connected.
It's already on there.
Oh, there it is.
Right.
Thank you.
I got the
Eric.
definition
Eric
sent to
is
you
so
guys.
quick.
You don't
Man,
even,
he's
have,
got
to,
the
you
thumbs,
don't even have
baby.
to get off the feed. It's right there, babe. It's good.
Meow. Yeah, man.
It's not ED, it's ET.
Yep. Yeah. So, you know what?
There you go.
You logged in for tea time today.
You learned something
and you
new.
got more than you bargained for. You are welcome,
You
friends.
always
Origin
do.
of words. Yeah.
You either
Yeah.
learn a new dad joke or something.
Oh, let me think of one.
No, we're good. Okay, so we're running out of time. So
Yeah. Let's wrap this up.
I did teach Melody a couple train jokes. You want to hear?
train
Yes.
jokes.
Yeah, because it's kids.
Yeah.
Right? I said, Melody, how does a train drink milk?
How does a train drink milk?
Chuck, 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 chuck.
It's so good.
I think they only
She
say
was
these
dying.
jokes
She
for my
repeated
facial
it. She
response.
repeated it for
Chuck,
like
chuck,
6
chuck,
hours.
chuck.
Chuck, 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 chuck.
That's what
I'm
you
so
want.
sorry,
You
Karen.
want the joke on loop.
What did the train's parent tell him to do when they took a bite?
Choo, choo,
Choo,
choo.
choo, 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 choo. I feel like these work together.
Oh my gosh.
Just in case
No.
you needed some.
Yeah.
Now they're all laughing out there.
Yeah, there you go. Etymology.
All right.
Etymology.
Yeah, boy, this is a jam-packed tea time. You're welcome, friends.
Yeah.
Share it with everybody. And we're going to wrap up, point towards Sunday. This Sunday, we've got 9:30 contemporary, online and in person, 11 o'clock. In person and youth at 5, our typical Sunday lineup. One thing that if you are local and might be coming to worship locally this Sunday, our pandemic team is meeting this evening. You know, that'd be something for y'all to be praying about. Okay, what is our response as a church to the latest from the CDC? You know, our policy has been to listen to them closely, to allow their, you know, what they say to guide us. And so the team is meeting tonight to decide what's really what's God's wisdom in this change. And so we'll if we make changes, we'll be sure to get them out as quickly as we can. But definitely for tonight, be in prayer for the pandemic team. And it's this heart. It's this heart that we all need to hold on to. You know, to be humble, to be other oriented, to be patient and gentle. and that's the way forward.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No. Guys, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We love taking a break. It is Thursday afternoon, so enjoy your weekend. But if you are catching this on the flip side, maybe on Monday or Tuesday of the week, we hope that you have a good week.
Saturday morning, 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Those are good times,
Yeah.
too.
What? All right.
Yeah.
Peace. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.